Thank you for watching Ben Television. The program is You Decide. My name is Shegun Johnson. Today we have so many things lined up for you, and most importantly, we're having one of the mayoral candidates here, and we will want to listen to him. So this is a good time to be here. I have in the studio in-house researcher Nat Iyako. Nat, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you.
Well, we are going to have other guests, but the most important guest for now is the man who wants to be the next mayor for London. Many people know him, but if you have never known him, now you have that opportunity. He is Nims Obunge, MBE. Nims, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Shegun Johnson. Great to be on You Decide with you. And
Yes,
great
it's
to
a
be
great
here with
thing.
Nat.
We have waited for this day. You've always been very scarce, doing great work somewhere else, but today we managed to get you. Now, we want to discuss something about COVID-19 progress, how we are progressing. The other day, the British government said that the rate of infection is going down, death is going down, and therefore the timetable to unlock the society will be followed. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, has said that it's going to be uh, data, not date, and it appears the data is in favor of the people. But let me ask Nat Yako how well we are doing. Nat, how well are we doing?
Well, thank God we're doing very, very well. And it seems everybody's happy. The sunshine is been marvelous. Everybody's trooping to the beach. But the Prime Minister has sounded a caution, and even the medical sciences, we should be very, very careful. We shouldn't. COVID is not gone yet, but the sunshine is brightening our day. But the only challenge we have for now, information reaching us yesterday night and today, is saying that these COVID vaccines might expire in 8 months or 12 months time, which means we may have to repeat the exercise after 8 months or 12 months.
Well, it's always the case with jobs anyway. We get jobs every year for those who are up to the age of job. Let me ask Nims Obunge. Nims, how do you want me to, what title do I give you? Is it Dr. Nims Obunge? I know you have a doctorate, or is it chief, or is it what how do you want us to, how do you want us
Dr.
to,
Shegun, the one with the doctorate is you. My name is Nims. I tell people that my mother still calls me Nims. So I'm very happy for people to call me Nims.
okay.
But what you raise is a very
But I
significant
want to
issue.
ask you a specific question.
Yes, sir.
Having been around for a while in London, how do you think we have fared as a society, as a nation, the United Kingdom? I mean, take it in a comprehensive manner, if you can, for the next 5 minutes or so. How do you think we have fared concerning this coronavirus and how the British government has tackled it? And now we can say, yes, we can see light on the other side of the tunnel.
Dr. Shegun, thank you for raising this very significant issue. Um, I've been quoted in the Financial Times, and I've also done programs with Sky News, both on podcast and on the main news, speaking to this issue. And I've also been actively involved with Christian campaigns to voice the importance of us keeping safe. However, I have pointed out that historically, what unfortunately has happened is we have a moment in our history where we're being asked to actively take the vaccine on the backdrop of historical failures. Medically, we have not actually, in the past, Black people have been used as guinea pigs in order to test vaccines and other forms of medical interventions. And so there's a sense of trust that, or the lack of trust that exists. And there's not been an active engagement with our community prior to this major drive for us to take the vaccine. Much as we're the most susceptible, yet we're the least likely to take it. And as a matter of fact, a report very recently said Black Africans, not even just Black Caribbeans, but Black Africans are the most least likely to want to take it. We are concerned, I'm concerned, having lost dear friends, including a pastor who you know quite well, Pastor Joseph Mieti, to COVID. We've lost some good people to COVID. So we need to try to ensure we have a conversation. And that conversation is one that is engaging enough for those within the Black community who feel adverse to taking the vaccine, maybe because of historic failings within the NHS, or just a sense of fear and misinformation. We need to have that debate. Now, I have taken the vaccine myself. And when I took the vaccine, I made sure I interviewed the doctor who was giving it to me, and that's on social media. So people can look at our Twitter page and they will be able to find some more information about the conversations we've been having around it. But back to the key question, how do we make sure we continue to engage the Black community? How do we make sure we ensure that government is working with, in fact, the next generation? I've just facilitated a major conversation with millennials and Generation Z on this issue, who are from the Black and minority ethnic community. And what we've said is there has to be a robust discussion. They need to go to where these young people have conversations on social media, and we need to get champions to drill down the conversation, make sure we are engaging and addressing the fears, the apprehension. Like a lady said, I'm not sure I want to take it. It might affect my baby. So how do we manage those kind of tensions and those issues?
You just mentioned a pastor who has gone to be with the Lord. Is it not, aren't we having some challenges with some pastors saying there's nothing like coronavirus, or believe God for your healing, or they just want to make you guinea pigs? And all of these 3 points, they've been thrown out in some churches. Even some churches equally say that there are fetuses in the vaccine and is against their religion. Now, how do we debunk all of these? And when we know that some of my relatives, some of my friends have died. Personally, I've taken the jab, and I've seen people, Sir Lenny Henry, begging people. But some people are adamant, and I'm saying this as a member of the grassroots. How do we get this debate across to some religious folks? You have to unmute.
Sorry.
You have to, yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What is so important is that we recognize that we actively have to have that conversation. We must have that conversation with our community. You can't be bullish about it. I know they're talking about having passports to allow people into venues. Whilst I understand that, we have to win over. It's not by cohesion, it's by conversation. We have to win over those who feel this is going to ruin their opportunity to, if it's a health issue, they feel their health is going to be under challenge. We have doctors in there that reassure them. If it's about the end times and people feel this is the mark of the beast, we get people like yourself and myself who are ministers to have conversations, engaging conversations with them. If it's those who feel that, you know, they want to wait till they see the effect it has on other people, then like you and myself who've had the vaccine, we sure we've had the vaccine. We sure we're still alive. We just have to have engaging conversations, Dr. Segun. If we don't have those conversations, what will happen is our community will again feel not only are we susceptible to getting COVID, not only are we susceptible to refuse COVID, but we suddenly become a targeted group of people where we find enforcement on us. And that in itself is counterproductive.
Thank you very much. Let me ask Nat. Nat, I know you are close to the community as well. What is causing this, what we have termed vaccine hesitancy?
Yeah, I think right from the onset, when the health challenge of COVID-19 came in, people were not taken along. It was only the government and the government alone, the scientists and the medical sciences. The man at the grassroots was not taken along. And you know, there are so many stereotypes and biases already in the minds of people. And so when you don't take them along, when you don't mobilize, you don't sensitize them, then you are now bringing a second thing called vaccine. Definitely, they are bound to have their fears and doubt, especially when you have a government that sometimes is not transparent. It's not coming out to say the truth and nothing but the truth. And so that's why we have had these challenges. And you have when you have cultural differences or religious biases, and individuals are entitled to what they want to believe in. When it comes to a decision, when you make a decision, you have the privilege of a choice, and whatever choice you make, you know there are consequences. And so these are some of the challenges that have come into play with
Okay,
this vaccine.
but now when you look at the percentages, 93% of Caucasians have taken the jab at a particular age. In that particular age, 69% of Afro-Caribbeans have taken it. And in that particular age, according to statistics, only 59% of Black Africans. Now, if there should be another way, God forbid, wouldn't the Black Africans be more susceptible and then will be crying for relatives and friends who may be dying? What do we do now? What do you think we can do?
No,
Apart from what you said.
yeah, but even as we're talking, we all know that this vaccine thing is on trial. It's experimental. Nobody, even the scientists or the medical people, don't know exactly what we're into. And so when people take these decisions to take or not to take, or to be or not to be, and then the consequences, then it's going to be very, very hard to persuade people, especially
The remaining 41%.
Yes, again, if you go memory lane, historically, some of these vaccines that have been jabbed into people really were not helpful. It didn't improve their health status.
That would not be correct for polio, for diphtheria, for tuberculosis. They worked in their 90-something%.
But in Africa, how many people died in Kano? In Kano alone, people died because they had polio vaccines.
Yeah, what's the percentage of those who die? Because I know that these vaccines don't work 100%. Everybody knows that. But when you look at the people in Kano killing officials who have come to give polio, then you know that they had challenges. Because I remember the episode very well. But let me ask Nims. Nims, you've listened to our friend Nat. How do we disabuse the minds finally on this issue? What's the final thing apart from what you have said? What else can we do to explain to people that it's better be safe than be sorry?
Thank you very much, Dr. Segun. It's clear that what we have to do is we need to have a very robust conversation. But like you said, the statistics speak for themselves, and information is always key. If we don't let our community understand that many people are dying in our community and have died in our community as a result of the impact of COVID, and we are able to show statistically, because the data tells the truth. We need to be able to show what the data says. The data at the moment will reflect one thing. It will reflect that prior to COVID, X number within our community died natural death. With COVID, Y number are dying. And therefore, we do an analysis of that. And once we do that analysis, a comparative analysis will show us that if we don't, and we need to compare, and sometimes it might require us looking at, okay, post-vaccine, how many folks within the Caucasian community have experienced death, which they're doing at the moment. They're looking at not so much the Caucasian, they're looking at how many deaths post-COVID. The data is speaking. How many folks within the Caribbean community have died? How many folks within the African community have died? When we start looking at and we drill down in the data, that data might begin to awaken a sense of consciousness, because the data does not lie. We can't impose it, but we've got to continue to inform, equip, educate, at which point we might have a change of heart and mind.
Thank you very much. Names, we want to discuss about the Race Commission report, but I really want people to meet you first and to know what you are doing right now, because you are going to be our resource person this program, throughout this program, but I really want them to meet you. Names, Obonge, you studied political science in the university up to the master's level. You have worked in this country as a charity man, and you set up the Peace Alliance, and you have been involved in settling so many disputes, and you have helped people whose children were shot on the road. I mean, all these are in documents, television documents, and all the rest. Now you want to work even better and greater than what you have done in many years that culminated you in being awarded the MBE. Nims, can our viewers meet you, and please tell us what you are up to in London?
Thank you very much, Dr. Segun. And thank you for the privilege of the introduction. Like you said, over the last 20, 30 years, well, 30 years really, I've been in London. As a matter of fact, I was going to my master's, but I did. But I did politics and international relations, and I was going to be an accountant, got involved into the church because I felt a desperate need to do something in relation. I felt a significant call of God in my life, and went into the in Bible college for 2.5 years after my uni. Upon that time, in the course of my service in church, I discovered that we were having a lot of social issues, social justice issues, things that were impacting members of our community. We realized young people were being shot or stabbed in our communities, but there was an issue beyond just the death of people in our communities. There was also the social deprivation, the poverty of aspiration, the poverty of opportunity that existed in such a way that I felt I needed to do something. And it wasn't just me. We had church leaders who prayed together, and it evolved to become a moment where we started something called the Peace Alliance. And it was an alliance of faith leaders, government leaders, police leaders, health workers, and we all got together to say we've got to do something better to help those who are from disaffected families, disaffected communities. At one point in this borough of Haringey, they were sending more young people to prisons than they were to university, and that became a damning statistic. So there were, and I remember one of the young people we had to bury, Tyrone Rowe, this police bureau commander then, Stephen James, asked me to support the family when he was in a comatic state. And I just sat with the family and seeing the trauma and of that family, then Pauline Pierre, another young lady in a car shot dead, and working with these families, you just begin to say, what do we do as community faith leaders to try to address this disaffection and this trauma that we felt? And over the course of the years, I got to become more involved in the strategic planning around what happens in our local borough. Like you, I became a borough dean, working with the local council, having conversations with councillors, community, and others to see what we did to improve the experience of those that were in our community. And then with with the Peace Alliance, it grew beyond Haringey to all of London. We set up the London Week of Peace, the London Leadership and Peace Awards. I got to chair the London Criminal Justice Board Advisory Group. So I was on the Criminal Justice Board for all of London, and got involved with the response to knife crime. I chaired the Operation Blunt from the Met Police perspective, and was also on the board that looked at stop and search. I was on the stop and search scrutiny panel for the Met Police, overseeing the impact stop and search has across London. In the course of all of that, we like, even right now, I sit on the Race Equality Commission with Baroness Stroud to respond to some of the issues post Black Lives Matter. Segun, there's so much that I can speak about, but where we're at now is I've decided, having buried many young people, I've worked with Ken Livingstone, Boris Johnson, Sadiq, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Theresa May, and now, obviously Boris Beckett. I've had many conversations, sat on many round tables. And I think there's a moment in time where we must hold our leaders to account. And even though we may not be politicians in itself, but we believe that we can no longer hand the future of our city and our children just to politicians. But those of us who have been practitioners and who feel a desperate desire to do more and not just always appeal to government to do what's right, we become that government, and we begin to work in partnership with our grassroots communities and ensure that their voice is not lost. Because all too often it's lost by politics, but I say politics intentionally. It's lost.
Okay,
just want to make sure we move things forward, sir.
We will be asking you serious questions in the course of this program. And when I heard you say, I've spoken with Boris, with Theresa, with Tony Blair, I'm telling you, for those who are viewing, NIMS discusses with them on first name basis. He's not trying to show off, because I've been with him in number 10, and it was on first name basis. He was dealing with Gordon, with no, I will never call him Gordon. I mean, I will never call him Tony. But for NIMS, and he introduced me to the Prime Minister, but then he was mayor at that time in the City Hall, and he said, "Boris, come and meet Segun." And I don't know whether you remember that that occasion. And for the first time, I was introduced to him as the anchor for You Decide, and the London mayor, Boris Johnson, said, "Oh, I like that one. Maybe we can bring in one of these days, don't you think, NIMS?" And yeah, I remember. But for our viewers, I want you to watch this clip concerning NIMS Obunge becoming the London mayor. Give us that clip, please, studio.
Hi, everybody. My name is NIMS, and I love London. This is an amazing city. It's a city we can all be proud to call our home. And I believe it's a city we must work together to preserve and protect. Over the last 30 years, we've worked together with faith organizations, community organizations, government agencies to ensure that we have peace on our streets. And I want to see that we do everything we can and we step up for London to ensure we have a safe city. In order to do that, I am standing as an independent mayoral candidate. Be part of something different. Let's not hand the future to just politicians. Let's hand the future to the people of London.
Thank you, studio. May I ask you, viewers, if you have any question for our London mayoral candidate, you can write it. Email me straight away to nigeriansdecide@yahoo.com, which is right on your screen, or you can make your comments on our YouTube and we will read it out. We want to ask any question from NIMS Obunge, the next mayoral candidate of London, if you vote for him. So we'll be asking him serious questions, how he wants to tackle the issues of London. And it's time to go on a commercial break. We won't be long, so don't move away. Bigger things are coming your way. Thank you very much.
Founder Rochas Foundation and former governor of Imo State, Nigeria, Senator Rochas Okorocha, says there is need for Nigerians, especially those in power, to promote peace and unity, as it stands as the base of development in any nation that needs growth. Senator Rochas stated this when he received members of Foundation for Civilian Peace in Nigeria, led by Commander Manu Yagda, retired, at the Unity House in Abuja. The senator, while calling on government to quickly address the high rate of out-of-school children in Nigeria, said if not properly managed, the children will turn out to disrupt the unity in the country in the nearest future.
Though what we're doing is like a drop of water in an ocean, as we still have more than 14.3 million children not going to school in our present-day Nigeria. And that is no good news for our nation. Because the Boko Haram that will suffer today were the children that were neglected 30 years ago and who were abandoned, who are not going to school, gave rise to the Boko Haram that we have today. And at that time, there were only about 3.5 million children out of school. That also can give you an idea of the type of Boko Haram we're going to have in 30 years to come if we do not act quickly under the present ugly situation which our condition points out to us. So this has become a thing of concern to all of us and all peace-loving Nigerians, and those who love their country must come together now to see what we can do to fix our nation for better. Hence my joy and my happiness to accept this partnership between the Rochas Foundation and the Foundation for Civilian Peace Mission.
He called on government to work with such organizations that preaches peace and unity to interface with the criminal elements instead of directly involving itself.
If the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria in his mightiness never confronted Boko Haram in the manner they did, and they sent out Foundation for Civilian Peace Mission to go for this battle, there would have been a room for argument that government has not failed in fighting insurgents in Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the wisdom would have been that government would have used agencies of your type to go and deal with the Boko Haram and all these kidnappers and every insurgent in this country while they maintain their holiness and sacredness as a government without being dented. Today you see a young man in the bush insulting the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, calling names and said, we'll kill you, we'll deal with you, because you've allowed room for almost a contact. This became obvious that when you send foundations like this and they go for this battle, they have options. If fire becomes too much, to negotiate. But then it won't be Federal Republic of Nigeria negotiating. It will be this agency negotiating ways to go. One of the problems we have in Nigeria is that institutions do not work. Institutions like this, if they're meant to work, then government can run on its own. But the federal government is too exposed to every insult and stoning and cajoling by the public.
Earlier, the leader of the group, Manu Yagda, said they are on the mission of working towards a new Nigeria.
We have written letters to almost all the governors in the Federation. We do it zone by zone. And I'm sure they must have told you that we have already inaugurated South-South Foundation for Civilian Peace in Warri.
The society needs awareness in order to harness security. So Foundation for Peace is reaching out to partner with Rochas Foundation based on the MOU. When you go through, you'll be able to see why we're angling. But the essence is action plan. What is going to be the action plan? New Nigeria Initiative is a laudable project, and we see a future in it. We see the possibility. And Foundation for Peace is looking for partners, people that can come together and forge a relationship that will have the necessary impact in our society.
Senator Richard Okorocha also received a Senegalese delegation led by Sheikh Mohammed in Abuja. Ellen Chukwemeka reports.
Welcome back to You Decide. We are going to welcome our colleague from Milan, Mark Godwin. Mark, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Segun. I'm glad to be here once again. Thank you very much, viewers.
Yeah, I was just about to welcome you. Buongiorno. How do we say it?
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
How we doing in Italy? Is the rate of infection going down now?
No, Segun. It's still climbing. Sad enough, we thought it will begin to reduce with the lockdown. Everybody's staying in one place, but we're still having more infection. We're still having more people being, apart from the infection, even now we're going through the mental health of a lot of Italian citizens. Many people are suffering from the effect of lockdown, and it's not too pleasant. Mind you, a few days from now should be Easter, and Italy is going to be a center for Easter celebration and holiday. So, but sadly, we'll all be indoors, and Italians don't like this. Italians don't like.
Mental depression is not peculiar to Italy. It's all over,
Yes.
especially the Western world, because we're used to having our freedom. But you're welcome to the program. We are about to look at the report of the Racial Commission brought up by the British government. Boris Johnson last year set up a commission to look at the disparity in the society vis-a-vis different races, and they came up with the conclusion that race and racism are less important in explaining social disparities. In essence, racism is fading out as institutional racism. I don't know whether this will be accepted by the BAME. One of the things that the commission report also said and highlighted was that the group doesn't want to be called BAME anymore. Let's start from our in-house researcher, Nat. What is the update of this one? Do you think the people will receive this report like the government is believing in it?
Well, you know, when you talk of racism, race relations, there are so many things involved. And when you have built institutions on some certain foundation, it's going to be very, very hard to convince anybody that it is not there. And why the government decided to set up a race relation commission was because of this George Floyd thing in America, and then the Black Lives Matter in the UK. And so the government has a way of doing things. It's an attempt to distract and divert people's attention from reality. And for the government to quickly come out and say, oh, there's no racism in the UK, or is is facing out, I think there's need for a rethink in the society. I think there's need for a rethink.
Fortunately, we have a co-chair of Rate Commission, the London Mayoral candidate, Nims Oponge. Nims, let me give you a free hand. What do you see to that report, and how do we take it from here? Nobody wants racism. We don't want to talk about it for years, but it just appears at the moment is not going away. But you are in a better position. You are at an advantage to inform the public. What's your take?
Thanks a lot, Dr. Segun. We know that this is a 264-page report with 24 recommendations. And I know that Dr. Tony Sewell must mean well in trying to address this issue. But I do believe that many would feel quite challenged by the report. In some sense, some might feel offended by it. And I might not say that I don't understand the concerns. We set up, myself and Baroness Stroud, set up the Race Equality Commission because we're not looking for a quick fix. The commission has been set up for a few months, and we invite our viewers to look, if they went to the Lagatom Institute or they Google the Race Equality Commission and Google my name, they'll see what we're looking to do. And we've said that we will continue to work on this until every stone is unturned. We're not a quick fix. This is not going to be a quick fix. It took many years for us to get here. And we're not, I recognize that there will be some positive values in this recommendation. I need to drill down on the recommendations. I need to drill down on the report, which has not yet been released. I understand that the Government Equalities Office is waiting to release it to us. But I suppose this is a subtle kind of heads up to give us the direction of travel. I don't believe that I can fully comment on it. Some might say it's extremely disturbing, but before we conclude on what the direction is, maybe we should wait and read the 264-page report, look at the 24 recommendations. And myself and fellow commissioners will be looking at that report. We've had conversations with number 10 Downing Street and some of the policy advisors to Boris Johnson. I came from a position that if we're going to address equality in all its fairness and address this, and this we did post, like I said, BLM. I was crossing the zebra crossing, and I realized that to get to the other side of the road, it was black and white blocks. And that was what made me kind of have that moment where I said, if we're going to deal with this, it's not just going to be black people. We're going to need to have a commission with black and white folks from different experiences, different socioeconomic places. Let's all get together as a commission. Let's discuss these issues. Then let's have commissioners. So our commission will take more than about a year, but then we're going to come up with not just recommendations, activities that are being done in order to address this. We will look at the policing issues. We will look at the employment issues. We will look at educational issues. We will look at family structures. We're going to look at the whole, we're looking at data. We're looking at a lot of things that I don't know that the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities has had the time to dig into. So there's a lot more digging in that has to be done. And then we've got the Lamy report. We've got so many reports. We need to come together and say, where have all these reports gone? Great recommendations. The Macpherson report. Great recommendations. Have they been implemented? This could be another commission with reports that sit on the shelf. Do I believe that there's still institutional racism? Without a doubt. When you look at a report that clearly tells us the HMIC, Her Majesty's Inspectorate on Policing, tells us how high the rate of stop and search is, how high taser is in relation to the black, and how disproportionate these things exist for the black community. And we have not yet been able to get officers across the force in the UK to explain why this disparity exists. There's a question to be answered. So I'm not sure we should just sit back and twiddle our thumb and say, yep, that's it. Let's read the report, let's understand it, and then you'll hear a more robust response from me.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me quickly ask you another question. I know you've been engaged with the youths over 2 or 3 decades, and the youths at the point of societal level, they are getting married, they are interrelating, they are interacting, and so we can see some positive signs. How do you think? But with the elderly ones, the 60 and above, they're still set in they're already set in their ways. And I'm saying this at the back of what David Lammy, Member of Parliament representing Tottenham, what he had with a lady, an older lady, and saying that David Lammy was not an Englishman, and David Lammy was saying, I'm an Englishman, and the argument continued forward and forward. And so at the level of the elderlies, they have a difficulty in accepting other races. I mean, David Lammy, MP, was born here, bred, and became an MP, and somebody was telling him he wasn't an Englishman. How do we now balance the older generation and the younger generation who want to get their life and keep moving on?
Dr. Segun, thank you for raising that. I remember many years ago, one of my neighbors, an old English fine lady, she looked at me and she said, all these people coming in, they need to go back to their countries. She said, not you, honey, you're okay, you're good, you're not one of them. I thought, okay, now we're going to have a difficult conversation, aren't we? You know, there is some progress here. We've got a census that hopefully all of us in the United Kingdom have responded to. And in there, the census now allows us to say that we're Black English.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. that is a good one. Yeah.
So to now be able to say that we're Black English, because our children are Black English. The older generation may be Black African, Black British, but it's not just about nationality. This is England. And so being able to say I'm Black English is also true, because our children may not all identify with being African, because when you say, okay, right, you're Black British, but you're African, so go back to Africa, they may not know where to go, because this is the only home they've known. This is the only experience they've had. And I think there's a coming of age where being able to now say there's Black English, and the Englishman can be a Black man wearing a bowler hat. That could be an Englishman.
Yeah. You look good. You look good.
That could be an Englishman. So being able to say that we can be that is important. The conversation will have to move on. We have to educate and empower people, and also empower those older Black folks in our community to own this journey. So it's an ongoing piece of work, but without a doubt, there is progress that has been made.
All right, let me ask what is happening on the continent. Mark, to what extent have the African folks been absorbed into the Italian community?
Thank you very much, Dr. Segun. It's a serious issue you're putting out here. It's very serious. Racism has been an unprecedented headlines for years in Western Europe. What brought it more to limelight is the brutal killing of George Floyd in the United States. But we have been going through racism, and in fact, I want to say there is what you call systematic racism going on in the Western Europe. That is, it's going on, but it looks like it's not going on. A lot of Africans are suffering so much in Western Europe. Here in Italy, it's even more of a problem. Africans don't really integrate much because, first of all, they are not, there is that barrier. There is that barrier, like the mayor said, the aspiring mayor said, I mean, you are black, you're not Italian, you're not French, you're not German. So it's silent, but it's going on. Now, one way we are dealing with it is because a lot of us find ourselves here. And interestingly, like I've always said, not all Africans in Italy or Europe, Western Europe, that are just immigrants. A lot of people came here to study. A lot of people are adding to their economy, to their quota, to their existence also as Europeans. A lot of Africans. So, but what we're doing these days is infusing, bringing up various organizations that integrates, that has both Italians, the European, and Africans, and bring up programs or structures and things that integrates the African into the system. Somehow it's
Mark, yes. But at least one Nigerian has become a senator. And do we have more people like that?
Yes, know that more people are brewing. More of such will be springing up very soon. We'll be having more House of Rep, what you call House of Rep, representatives, Africans, and even Nigerians. There's a young friend, a lawyer friend from the south of Italy that is gone in for the House of Rep. So yes, there is hope, and there is a bright African Europeans. It's a fact the Europeans have to accept. You know, if we say we are one big world family of humans, then we should be able to live anywhere we want to, stay with the people we want to, like they do. You know, they can go anywhere, stay anywhere without being harassed, without being profiled, without being looked upon. So we should be able to have that coexistence too, even with them. So Italy is picking up, gradually speaking up. The George Floyd awareness has also come on them. A lot of them are realizing that, yes, Black people have suffered a lot and they need to live, they need to breathe. They need to breathe.
Thank you very much. Please stand by because Nat and I will be asking the mayoral candidates some serious questions. And if you have any question, you can also chip in. Nat, would you like to ask the mayoral candidate? By the way, is an independent candidate, and which means he has a lot of work to do getting to all the different boroughs of London but Nims is a well-known person over the years. So Nat, have you any question for Nims? Because we're going to have him throughout the program, so this is just the beginning of him answering questions.
Very good.
Yeah. What the question I have, I'm not too sure it's a question, but what I want to say on this is his response, he was a member of the Race Relations Commission, or he's still a member. I think what is happening with racism and race relations, especially in the UK, it's more of the dynamics and changes in society and not in the hearts of the people. It's because this racism thing starts from the family. If you socialize and pass the value of society in your family to your children in a certain way, no matter where they go, values, cultures, these things don't really, you cannot remove it from people's hearts. And it is just becoming, racism is becoming more sophisticated and more strategic the way they are operating it. But again, technology has come in, the dynamic society has come in, and they cannot afford to do what they were doing 30 or 50 years ago. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just the strategy that has changed, or the dynamics. Racism is there. The British people exported it to America through slave trade or through the Puritans. And the problem is still there. It hasn't moved an inch.
But Nat, if I were to ask you, during the George Floyd protest in England, not only in London, there were so many Caucasians in support of Black Lives Matter. I mean, they were even more than the black people protesting. How do we explain that one? And in any case, when you look at education, they're doing well now. The black kids are doing well now. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. It is strategic and very dynamic. And especially in this country, the issue of the upper lips not moving, they're smiling with you, but it's really not getting to their heart. We shouldn't be deceived. And we have seen government commissions, 100 recommendations, and time and time will tell you a different story.
Okay, before we go on break, let's ask the mayoral candidate, how do you intend to handle the police in stop and search? We know you've been there before, but how do you intend to handle it so that whatever amount of racism that still appears, it will fizzle out in your time? Nims.
Thank you very much, Nat. Thanks, Dr. Segun, Bishop Nat. One of the clear things one of the things I want to say is that, without a doubt, there are issues that must be addressed, and that's the professional standard around policing. There's something called the critical encounter, when the police officer first engages with any member of the public, and that the first few moments of that, it has to be very professionally done. The people have talked about training on unconscious bias. I yesterday was on a meeting with some officers, and an officer and a few of us who were looking at the recruitment strategy around how we get more people within the Black and the minority ethnic communities, how we get them back to get into policing. For me, it's more than stop and search. It's about the culture of policing in the United Kingdom, in London in particular. I want to see more officers from London. I want to see that our officers are trusted members of our community. I want to see special constables, not just police officers, but special constables like yourself, Dr. Segun, who have a job, who have a life, but then can invest their time into their community, just like what I had when I was coming from an event at Hendon College. I got a lift from an officer, and as he was driving me back to the station, I found out he was a senior fund manager in the city, but this was his give back to community. If we have more people from our community who are able to give back and be special constables and begin to engage with the community that they have grown up in, with the community that they have fathered, uncle, brother, sister, they're part of this community, then you're removing that whole notion of us and them, but you're trying to make the policing become policing by consent. And it's a community-based policing. It's special constables, it's officers who are recruited from our city, who are trusted also, and who are also able to educate themselves about the communities they police. When we started doing, having officers come into our borough, what was arranged with the police borough command at the time was I would facilitate leadership meetings with the young officers, probationary officers. The probationary officers will come in. I'll have some of the young people we were training, but the probation officers didn't come in uniform. They came in their muftis, and these young people will engage with them, then get to understand, hold on a second, so you're a police officer, and build that whole notion of relationship, trust. Many of them many officers who have been in the Met have come from very white-dominated, Caucasian-dominated communities, so they've not understood the racial mix of London. increasingly we're trying to make sure that that is addressed. But therefore, they would have a notion of a black man that is driven by the media, a notion of a young black kid on a hoodie that's driven by the media. I remember that when I was on the scrutiny panel for the Met Police, an officer said that he was exercising his policing duties with gut instinct. That's not intelligence-based policing. What we need to have is not gut instinct, but intelligence-based policing. So those are some of the things we would look at. I'd want to see a professional, trusted policing standard that is given to all communities. And it's not stop and search just for some of those young kids, but I want to follow a trail around stop and search, especially in the drug trade, all the way to the cartels that have that influence that is impacting some of our young kids who are now sellers. How did we get those drugs in? Let's follow the trail. Let's get to where the main issue is, and let's make sure we're being robust about dealing with some of the issues that need to be addressed in our city.
Thank you, Nims. We'll be going on a short break, but when we return, we will still want to ask our mayoral candidate questions on how he will uplift the economy of London, especially at a time like this post-COVID era. We'll be asking him such questions, and then we'll be challenging him with Sean Belly and Sadiq Khan, how he will overpower, as it were. But you don't go away. We'll be right back.
It has been 1 year of coronavirus, and that sickness has affected the whole globe. The aftermath will even be worse, the way the scientists are telling us. And we believe that we need to counter it right now. If 1 million souls should do good to 1 other million souls, it will be a better place. So we want to start this project. 1 million souls to do good to 1 million souls. Why don't you join us? You don't have to register anywhere. Follow me on Twitter at Segun Johnson UK for daily tips. There we show you how to do good to 1 person. Always remember, 1 million souls, do good to 1 million souls.
Ben Television has been going for almost 2 decades now, representing the African, Caribbean, and ethnic communities in the diaspora, especially based in the United Kingdom. We have been providing content, various programs to empower, make an intervention, deliver, and enlighten the mainstream community about what it is to be a BAME in the United Kingdom. For almost 2 decades, this has been our ethos, bridging the gap. Now we seek for your support and partnership in delivering what we need to achieve in the coming generation for our youth, either through training, mentorship, empowerment for their entrepreneurial skill, talent, and in their business. Ben Television, bridging the gap, you're welcome to be with us. Thank you very much for joining and being partners of Ben TV, creating that bridge between the mainstream and the other communities in the United Kingdom and in Europe.
Schengen Story Magazine is an African international bi-monthly magazine based in Milan, Italy, and founded in 2016. The publication focuses on personalities, fashion, style, entrepreneurship, and culture for Africans. The articles on food, movies, fitness, music, travel, sports, technology, and books are also featured. Our lives full of best stories. A lot can happen in a month. Expand your mind, change your world. Get Schengen Story Magazine's full editions, celebrating Africans make an impact. Read better, the inside story. Your fashion magazine for a better lifestyle, inspiring stories for you. Your monthly dose of entertainment, a better mind keeping you updated.
Hashtag Schengen Story Magazine. Get Schengen Story Magazine full editions.
Thanks for staying with us. This is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis, but at the end of the day, you decide. Nat, we're told that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is in England for a medical checkup. Is there anything to be worried about?
Yes, everything to be worried about. Because the President of Nigeria coming over to UK for the 10th time since he's been president. 10 times he's been in the UK for medical tourism, though they call it routine checkup. I mean, the hospitals in Nigeria for the past 6 years will have been upgraded, even one or two, or even the presidential, the hospital, in the clinic in the Aso Rock should have been updated to enable the president go in for a routine medical checkup. The doctors in Nigeria are going on strike starting from tomorrow because they have not been paid salaries for months. They don't have adequate equipment to work with, and the president morally doesn't feel anything's wrong. Even the times we are in when Rome is burning, the 35 or so students from Afaka Agric Mechanization School are still in captivity. 109 people between Kaduna, Katsina, and Niger State are in captivity, and the president doesn't see anything wrong. And again, there was no any handing over notes to the vice president. So many things are wrong, Dr. Shegun. So many things are wrong.
Let's ask our colleague in Milan. How do you feel, Mr. President, coming for another checkup? Mark, well, he needs a checkup, doesn't he? So why should we be bothered or perturbed that he's coming for a checkup? He's the president of Nigeria.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Shegun. I want to help my honorable Dr. Nat. It's not even 10, it's 12. This is 12th trip to the UK for medical. So Dr. Nat was even helping to reduce the it's the 12th. Yes, the 12th trip. But let's say some things. First of all, our president doesn't want to have a similar situation that happened to the previous one, Musa Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua died in office, and some people said it was because he wasn't doing this. He wasn't going for checkup. So where the bone of contention comes in is, why hasn't Nigeria built standard hospitals and facilities for medical checkup? Why does the president leave to the foreign land for this? That's the point. That's the contention. But for him to be doing his checkup is necessary. With his age and what he has gone through, it's necessary that he follows up on his medical conditions. So, but why is he coming to the UK? Why haven't we built standard hospitals and medical facilities to keep all these leaders right there inside the country doing their checkup? So it's an issue because, like some people are saying, there are so many things going on in the country. He's not looking into that. Rather, he's taking his time now to come for, mind you, it's not just checkup also. It's a time for refreshing. He will be there for some time, gain some
2
new.
weeks, we're told.
Yes, sir.
2 weeks, we're told.
2 weeks, yes, 2 weeks. So these are mind-boggling things. These are situations that, yes, sir.
Let me ask Nims, even though that's not why Nims is here, I'm going to ask him questions concerning London. We need an uplift in London. Sadiq Khan has been there for a while. But before I ask him that question, Nims, how do we welcome the president of the most populous Black nation on earth?
Well, Dr. Segun, you know, we have a lot of medical doctors. I think over 8,000 medical doctors who are of Nigerian descent in the UK. So I'm sure some of them may be there in the hospitals to welcome him.
Yeah. But some Nigerians have said they're going to demonstrate in front of Aso Rock Villa here. What do we say to them?
I would say this to Nigerians, and I think my view is quite clear. The Nigerian president went through some significant health scare a while ago, and that was very, very serious. There are different opinions as to what exactly happened, which is left for everybody to decide what exactly happened at the time. But his health was at great risk. I'm grateful for medical intervention. I think that without a doubt, like has been said, we need to upgrade our standard of health provision in Nigeria. But I'm also glad that we have international standards that exist. My brother had cancer, and I'm very grateful for the intervention here. And for, obviously, without a doubt, it was a miracle that he's alive. But it was the miracle of medical intervention here that allowed them to reconstruct his face and rebuild his face in a time when the cancer could have really destroyed him. My other brother, who is a medical doctor and a professor at that, had a very serious case of a tumor in the back of his brain, and he had a thing around his eye. We had to leave Nigeria. We did everything to get those interventions in Nigeria, but we had to bring him out of Nigeria for him to get that support. My sister had another serious intervention. We had to bring her out of Nigeria, and she got supported here. I don't mean that to say that Nigeria cannot deliver what it should deliver. But I think in times of very serious situations, if you have to do what you have to do, and we've seen people who are not enabled to leave the country. Thank God some of us can when it gets really serious. But that's not what we want for our country, Nigeria. What needs to happen is we need to have inward investment into Nigeria. Those of us in the diaspora need to invest. Those in government in Nigeria need to invest, and we need to build the infrastructure so we're not always having to leave Nigeria in order to give what's best to our citizens.
Thank you very much. I don't want to saddle you too much with Nigerian problems. Now, let's quickly talk about London. Sean Bailey the other day said that Sadiq Khan is not pulling his weight in running this city. What will you do better than Sadiq Khan and Sean Bailey when it comes to economy?
I think that one of the clear things that we've got to do here is, I think that when we talk about the economy, we're not just talking about money into London. We're also talking about the livelihood of Londoners. Dr. Segun, I'm sure you know that even in my community right now, we are feeding in excess of 3,000 people who have lost their jobs, who have been furloughed, who have been struggling. We started doing this because we were hearing that young children in our city, in our community, were going to school without food. And that should not happen in a city such as London. And so in order to respond to that, we began to create an intervention program, which started with just a few hundred, and now we're over 3,000. What's clear is I deliver. When I see an issue that needs to be addressed, I put myself with my team and I deliver. And one of the things we will do is we will make sure that we address the issues around homelessness. We will look at the issues around not enough houses in London. We'll use modern methods of construction to ensure that we have a fast and a better and a cost-efficient way of getting more houses built in London. We'll look at the areas where there's been ineffective spend and poor spending within TfL and ensure that we begin to start having an integrated task force that looks at some of the core issues and begins to unravel where we are wasting money. The areas around wastage exist. We have a mayor who is more concerned about his public image and more concerned about publicity and has invested so much money into that, whereas we should be looking at how we are able to create something more of an innovation and a private fund to support people coming out of the economy. And one of the things I will do immediately I get in is I will create a COVID recovery fund in order to support SMEs. I'm a director of a fintech company, so I also understand the importance of supporting the business sector. I understand the need to have public-private partnerships in order to provide apprenticeship and entrepreneurial opportunities for Londoners. As you would know, I've been the chair, a member of the board, for the College of Haringey, Enfield, North East London. FE sits as one of the responsibilities, FE being further education, sits as one of the responsibilities of the mayor. I have been chair of, a member of that board for at least 15 to 18 years, looking at further education, looking at how apprenticeship programs connect, the right apprenticeship programs connect with our young people so that we give them a better future, give them access to better opportunities. I will set innovation hubs that give young people entrepreneurial training, and they'll get access to the creative arts industry, areas around technology. I want to push technology. We're in the fourth revolution, as it were, and it's a technological revolution. And to what extent do young people within our community, not just Black, but young people, feel that they have an aspiration in our city and they have opportunities? I remember many years, I used to be a journalist, Dr. Segun, and I interviewed a gentleman called George Foreman. And I said, give me a word for young people in this. And most of us know George Foreman, the boxer. And I said, give me a word for young people in our nation. He said, if they wake up in the morning without a dream, they should go back to sleep. Now, I want to give young people something. I want to give them something to dream about. I want them to feel that they own this future. I've sat with Sadiq. I was talking to him after I buried Tanisha, a young girl who was shot in our community just a few years ago. I've sat around the round tables. I've said to Sadiq, get around, come around us. Let's work, let's campaign, let's do stuff to save our children. Let's do stuff that is robust. And I don't want to go into the responses. I'm not there to slag Sadiq Khan, but I know that I'm not a politician, I'm a practitioner. And as a practitioner, what I intend to do is I will make sure that we bring in the best professionals, the best practitioners. I will work with politicians too. I've worked with Lib Dems, Labour and Conservative, but I will bring them in. Let me put this to you, Segun, and I'm not sure whether you're aware of this. We have a mayor who is in position by virtue of the vote of the minority of Londoners. That's so important that we hear that. And that's because many of us don't understand that we have skin in the game. Sadiq in the last elections was first voted in. You have a first preference vote and a second preference vote. He had only 1.1 million votes, okay? And Zach Goldsmith had just under, I think, 900,000. But he did not have up to 50% of the votes in order to be mayor. And so what they did was they looked at the Conservative vote, the Labour vote, the Conservative vote, and they put that to one side. Then they looked at all the other three because neither of the two had gone up to the 50% mark of those who were to vote. And now they looked at the second preference vote of those men, the Green, who voted for Green, Liberal, all the other parties or individuals, took them and added them to Sadiq and to Zach Goldsmith. Sadiq now made it by 1.3 million. Zach Goldsmith had about 900,000. Let's remind ourselves, London is a city of 9 to 10 million people. And only 1.3 million people was what it took for Sadiq Khan to be the mayor. In essence, Londoners don't feel they don't feel involved. They don't feel that he has done anything or this mayoral race has anything to do with them. And that's what I want Ben TV to be part of. Let's awaken the sleeping giant. As we remember, you're on a program that says you decide. Many Nigerians and others have not even decided because they're not even registered to vote. They're not even part of the conversation. They don't feel this is their responsibility to fight for the future of their children. I want to challenge us at this point in time. I want to force us to wake up and say, what are we doing? You can ask me as many questions as you like, but the question is, what are we doing to preserve our city? This is now our city. This is the city God has placed us in. This is the nation God has placed us in. We have a responsibility not to sit back and say, "Que sera, sera," what will be, will be. We don't, because we're black, always have to vote Labour. We don't because, you know, we feel we don't have anything in it. We don't make it, it doesn't matter. I wasn't born in this country. I don't need to vote. We own the future. We talked about the Race Equality Commission, the Race Disparity Audit. We've talked about several things. In order to have a significant conversation, Dr. Segun Johnson, about this matter, I believe that we own this conversation. We need to not think it's a battle with Sadiq and Sean Bailey. It's a battle about the destiny of our lives, our children, and the future. And we've got to fight to win.
Nims.
Can I say?
My God. I want to, no, before we allow further questions, I want to say this one. Many of the voters in London don't even know what it is to vote and how to vote. You just said there is the first vote, then there's the second vote. That is, there are going to be two votes in one. I know the system because I participated in these in 2008, and what he was saying that other votes were added, that the other second votes were added for Sadiq Khan. Nims, please, in 2 minutes, is it possible you explain to our viewers who are likely to vote what it means to have the first and the second votes?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Segun. So in essence, when we get before the ballot box for the mayoral election, you will be given two options. You'll be given two options to determine who you want to vote for. The first option would be your first preference vote. So it would be, in this case, myself. But in other cases, you would say, you would say, I prefer to vote for Labour, I prefer to vote for Conservative, I prefer to vote for Lib Dems. That will be your first preference. But then knowing that if the first preference vote person does not make 50%, one person has to get 50% of the total voters at that time across London. Now, because Sadiq only got 46% of that total vote, what happens for us is they will now look at your second preference vote. You may say, well, I would give Nims not Nims, Sean Bailey my second, because I've given Nims my first. Now, if Nims comes through and he gets, by the grace of God, over 50%, there's no need to look at anybody else's second preference vote. But if not, what they will do is they will take the top two that have the highest level on the first preference vote and then remove everybody else's vote on their first preference and look to their second preference. So in essence, please understand this. If you voted for me as first preference and I come through, your second preference vote means nothing. They will no longer count that. They will only look at those who have lost and look at their second preference vote. So we need to make sure if you're voting for me, you don't give me your second preference vote and say, I've always voted Labour, I'll give Nims my second preference. That does not help me through the gate. What helps me is making sure you vote for me, your first preference vote, and you can give anybody else your second preference. That's if you choose to. We don't always have to fill the second preference vote.
Yes, and I think that there is intelligence voting. That is, you vote for one candidate, in this case, Nims Obenge, and then you go and don't give anybody your second vote. That will be intelligent voting, isn't it?
Yes, sir. That's why I was saying I'd rather you just give me your first preference and give nobody else. Don't give it to a candidate that you think is likely to be close to me, like a Sean Bailey or a Sadiq Khan. Because if you give it to Sean Bailey or Sadiq Khan, if many people put them on, they might want to try to overtake me. But like somebody said to me, from the Labour camp. They said, Nims, my concern is that you're going to take our votes and you're going to give it to the Conservative. You're going to let the Conservative win because you're taking Labour votes. And someone said, no, Nims, we'd like you to come to the Conservatives because if not, you're going to cause Sadiq to... So I said, listen, guys, don't worry. I'm not helping Conservative nor Labour to win. I'm going to win.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more question because this is getting more interesting. We're going to have that election in May, isn't it?
On the 6th of May. But here's the powerful thing, Dr. Shegun Johnson.
Here it is. Here it is. Sadiq Khan originally is BAME, you, BAME, and Sean Bailey. Those are the three candidates, the foremost candidates I see and many people see. Now, don't you think the three of you will now have to go not only to the BAME, but all the Caucasians in this city to now, because it is who can appeal to them now. They're the ones going to decide now. It's not going to be by any color or race. You guys, the three of you will have to go there and determine. Don't you see that situation arising?
Absolutely. I think that I've done a regression analysis. I understand how the Conservatives vote. I understand how Labour voters vote. I know that Sadiq is Asian, Sean is Caribbean, I am African. And what does that mean? Will the Asians vote for Sadiq, the Caribbeans vote for Sean, and the Africans vote for me? Is that possible? Absolutely possible. Is it possible that we can have the head of my policing advisory board? He's Pakistani Muslim, and we're and so we're also reaching the Asian community. But then with the Caucasian community who are yet to determine who their candidate is, I think that my pedigree will speak to them. The pedigree I have is having chaired the Criminal Justice Board, having been, I'm a person that will work, and I need to say this, even when, you see, Labour will only work with Labour. Conservative will only work with Conservative. But me as an independent candidate, I have the ability, and this is what I've done in the past and I will continue to do. I will work with Labour, I will work with Conservative, I will work with Lib Dem and Green, I will work with elected officials. What I hope to do is drive a conversation into our city that says we're a city of bridges, not walls. And if we build bridges across communities and move beyond partisan politics, we create a new politic in London that says together we can move forward. After a series of very painful months with COVID impacting all of us, we need a moment where we bring healing to our land and not such levels of disparity and discord. And you need a mayor that's going to, as an independent person, bring our parties and our people together and say, this is one city, and together we win.
Mark from Italy wants to ask you a question. Mark, what's your problem with London? Leave London for us, but I give you a chance.
No. It's my family is there too. So, Honorable Nims is so passionate about what he believes in and what he's running for. So that touched me. I'm impressed with his what Honorable Nims is doing is really what the program stands for. You decide, and he's showing us that people need to decide on who to vote for. My question to Honorable Nims, the mayor, aspirant mayor for London, is there is a problem, and that problem is a lot of Africans. Now I'm looking at the African populace. A lot of Africans in the UK are truly not participating in politics because they have this notion that we're here maybe temporary and someday we'll be out of here. So it's putting them on the fence. How do you deal with that large number? And there are a large number of people in that group. How do you bring these people into, how do you engage them to see reasons like you just poured out here, passionate reasons why they should be involved in governance and politicking, even while they live in the UK?
Thank you so much, sir. And I want to thank God that you're in Milan. I grew up in Italy. My dad used to be the Nigerian ambassador to Italy. So
wow.
Great to... So that's a historical conversation. Anyhow, I used to school there. But here is one reality. One reality is this. Many of us who came here, I was born here, but I left and I came back. We have had children here. Our children are in this city. Our children are in this land. And our children do not necessarily have that vision of going back. It will be their determination. They may want to go back and invest or be part of the future, but we have a responsibility to consider what's best for the future of our children and our children's children. We may be wanting to go back to Nigeria or Africa, whether it's Ghana, Congo, Kenya, Malaysia, other parts of Africa anyhow. You may choose to want to go back. But one thing is this, and allow me, dear, to venture into scripture for just a moment, because in the scripture there was a time Israel came to a particular land, and in Jeremiah said, look, I want you to know this is what God's saying to you. Seek the peace of the land that you're living in.
Great.
Buy houses there. Invest in that land. Many of us are here, but we've invested. We've invested our time, our work hours. We've invested some of our money into buying property. We're invested in the fact that our children are in education. We've invested in all of this, and yet all this form part of the politics of our city and our nation. And let's also be clear, when our children get stopped and searched because they're Black, when we find underachievement in certain areas, or lack of opportunity for businesses, or lack of opportunity for employment because of the color of their skin, that's because politics has failed us. What I want to see is a nation where Black or white, your prosperity should not be affected because of the color of your skin, but your capabilities. We empower them to see that this is their future. And I've said this in an interview, that if young Black men and women see I can become mayor, one day they will dream of becoming prime minister. We need them to own the future of the city. And I will continue to challenge, robustly let them see that my running is as a result of my recognition that we can't sit at the side and make changes. If we want to make a change that's long-term and sustainable, we need to be part of the conversation, and we will be part of the conversation. I intend to awake the sleeping giant in our community, and we will win.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Nins. We have to go on a short break. When we return, we'll still be asking Nins a load of questions. Don't go away, because there's still something to be said about Nigeria. There is a revolution going on in Nigeria. If you misbehave and happen to wrongly if you abuse your position as an electoral officer, you are going to end up in jail. These are the issues that are going on in Nigeria now. Don't touch that. We'll be right back.
Schengen Story Magazine is an African international bi-monthly magazine based in Milan, Italy, and founded in 2016. The publication focuses on personalities, fashion, style, entrepreneurship, and culture for Africans. Though articles on food, movies, fitness, music, travel, sports, technology, and books are also featured. Our lives full of best stories. A lot can happen in a month. Expand your mind, change your world. Get Schengen Story Magazine's full editions, celebrating Africans make an impact. Read better, the inside story. Your fashion magazine for a better lifestyle, inspiring stories for you. Your monthly dose of entertainment, a better mind keeping you updated.
Hashtag Schengen Story Magazine. Get Schengen Story Magazine full editions.
It has been 1 year of coronavirus, and that sickness has affected the whole globe. the aftermath will even be worse, the way the scientists are telling us. And we believe that we need to counter it right now. If 1 million souls should do good to 1 other million souls, it will be a better place. So we want to start this project. 1 million souls to do good to 1 million souls. Why don't you join us? You don't have to register anywhere. Follow me on Twitter at Segun Johnson UK for daily tips. There we show you how to do good to 1 person. Always remember, 1 million souls, do good to 1 million souls.
Ben Television has been going for almost 2 decades now, representing the African, Caribbean, and ethnic communities in the diaspora, especially based in the United Kingdom. We have been providing content, various programs to empower, make an intervention, deliver, and enlighten the mainstream community about what it is to be a BAME in the United Kingdom. For almost 2 decades, this has been our ethos, bridging the gap. Now we seek for your support and partnership in delivering what we need to achieve in the coming generation for our youth, either through training, mentorship, empowerment for their entrepreneurial skill, talent, and in their business. Ben Television, bridging the gap, you're welcome to be with us. Thank you very much for joining and being partners of Ben TV, creating that bridge between the mainstream and the other communities in the United Kingdom and in Europe.
Thank you for watching Ben Television. The program is You Decide, and we are happy to have Nims Obunge, London Mayoral candidate, and we'll still ask him a few questions before we can let him off. There are many people, it will interest you, Nims, who have been writing to ask you questions. I will read a few of them in a moment. We have 1 or 2 of his videos. Well, I'm going to ask the studio to play the first video, and before we finish, the second video could be played so that we can ask him many questions. But before let's play the first video, then I will ask Nat to bring us up to date about a professor who has been jailed in Nigeria.
Hi everybody, my name is Nims, and I love London. This is an amazing city. It's a city we can all be proud to call our home. And I believe it's a city we must work together to preserve and protect. Over the last 30 years, we've worked together with faith organizations, community organizations, government agencies to ensure that we have peace on our streets. And I want to see that we do everything we can and we step up for London to ensure we have a safe city. In order to do that, I am standing as an independent mayoral candidate. Be part of something different. Let's not hand the future to just politicians. Let's hand the future to the people of London.
Thank you. Nat, a professor has just been jailed in Nigeria for changing the election result. He brought in an election result which was authentic, and then suddenly before announcement, someone handed him another result from another place. We don't know, but today he's been jailed. Please bring us up to date.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Johnson. What we are talking about is the presidential and national assembly elections that was held on the 23rd of February 2019. The last bus stop in this process on that day is the officer that will announce the election results for each particular office. And this novel practice was introduced by Professor Attahiru Jega, the immediate past national chairman of INEC. He taught university professors were transparent, had high moral standing, and are accountable. But it was proved wrong on the 23rd of February 2019. The election in question was the Akwa Ibom Northwest senatorial election, where Godswill Akpabio was a candidate. Professor Peter Ogban, a professor from the University of Calabar, was the returning officer in Akwa Ibom State. And as Dr. Johnson has said, when he was about announcing the official results, he pocketed that one and brought out another result. And as he was about to announce it, the resident electoral officer of Akwa Ibom State, one Mr. Mike Egene, protested to say those were not the official result figures. And that announcement was stopped. And the issue now moved to the electoral tribunal and eventually to the courts, the appeal court in Uyo. The three main players in this saga were the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, Professor Yakub Mahmoud, who is also a professor, I think professor of history from University of Jos, the current national chairman. Then we have the judge of the High Court, the judge of the High Court in Uyo, High Court judge in Uyo, was the third person, and then the NEC electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. He didn't have the Professor Peter Ogban, did not have support of any of these people, and he's now ending up not only 3 years in jail, he's going to pay 100,000 naira as a fine for electoral malpractice. This is novel. It's never happened in the history of Nigeria that a high electoral officer is sent to jail for bad behavior.
Thank you very much, Nat. We have our political analyst, Mazi Godwin Godson Azu in Nigeria. And we just quickly want to ask him, what is the mood of Nigeria now that we see that if you commit an electoral fraud, you are going to jail, whether you are a professor or a vice chancellor, it doesn't matter anymore. Godson, Ndewo, how are you doing in Nigeria?
Prof, good morning all our viewers. Ndewo no. Karo, Sanu de Nagode, Sanu, Barikade. I am very, very well here in Abuja, and I'm hoping that everything is going on well there in United Kingdom. I want to wish my very good friend Nims a wonderful campaign period and a great success at the election in May. I hope to be in town before the election, and we'll see what happens. Nigeria.
Now let us ask you, a professor has been jailed. What's the mood in Nigeria?
Well, I tell you honestly, there is nothing happening here. Nobody seems to have any sign of whether somebody is jailed or not. As long as I'm concerned, Abuja is not reacting to the jail situation among the ordinary people on the streets of Abuja. They seems not to be aware of, and if they are aware of it, seems not to show any sign of concern about the jailing of the...
Let's ask you another question. President Buhari has left Abuja for London. Is anybody aware that he's here?
Well, I think very few are aware that Mr. President has sneaked out of the country to the United Kingdom. I think it wasn't made very publicly announced until he has already planned his trip to the UK for his medical treatment. But unfortunately, there's a lot of reactions in the public domain, and especially among a few of the elites who are very, very unhappy, unsatisfied, and are not willing to compromise with the situation of Mr. President abandoning his citizens who are also undergoing serious and difficult health challenges with COVID ravaging most places in the country, and many of whom have died because they couldn't travel out to treat themselves as per COVID infection or COVID-related health issues. And they are saying that this is not a good sign of a good leader who should stay put with his people and suffer the penuries and pains of COVID, and deciding to seek for a senior and a more advanced, satisfactory health checkup in the United Kingdom.
Okay,
at the
okay. Let me
expense of so many of his colleagues in the political circle.
Is it true, Godson, is it true that when the president, before he got the COVID vaccine, he was hale and hearty, and after he got the COVID vaccine, then some things went haywire, went negative, and that is why he's here? Is it COVID vaccine related? Is that why he's here? We know he's elderly.
No, Doc, those are political comics, and there is nothing. The president has never been in good health. The president, the honest truth is that Mr. President in the last 5-6 years has never been in a good health. The president has serious underlying ailment, and the presidency has been covering those ailments at every aspect of his appearance in the public and every aspect of his non-appearance in the public, both media appearances and physical appearances. Mr. President being in the UK is as a result of his ongoing health issues. It's not about vaccine. It's not the issue of vaccine. I believe, and I know, and from many people who I've spoken to, they all knew that this medical trip that the president undertook right now has been planned and postponed on very many occasions due to the COVID restrictions. And I believe they find a loophole and a very smart statecraft intelligence halfway in which they use to airlift the president out of the country at this very point in time. It's not a vaccine-related. It's not a vaccine-related ailment.
Okay, hold on, Godson. People are asking whether he followed the due process. That is, was he tested negative before taking the plane? And when he landed here, will he take the same test so that it will be negative? And before leaving in 2 weeks' time, he will take another one. It must be negative. And when he lands in Nigeria, he must be quarantined. I mean, there are so many questions going on here. Of course, people are mobilizing themselves at 12 o'clock as from the 2nd of April to be demonstrating in front of his residence. Did he take any of these due process, or he's just here because he's the president? That's it.
To be honest, and to the best of my knowledge, Dr. Shegun Johnson, there is no evidence of Mr. President taking any COVID test. If he did, they should be publishing it to the public to know that Mr. President underwent a COVID test before traveling and he's negative or positive. Well, I am sure probably for security intelligence purpose and for the essence of diplomatic process, I'm sure there would have been a diplomatic undercovers on how his trip has been managed and orchestrated. I'm sure the British government will not allow him in if he's confirmed to be negative, except the British government.
To be positive, you mean?
Except the British government are in conspiracy with the with the Nigerian security intelligence and the Nigerian diplomatic corps in order to get Mr. President out of the country as a matter of
okay. I know our time is going out. I want to ask you one last question before we allow you to go. You are in Nigeria and in Abuja for a major book launching. What is it all about?
Well, I am here to launch my new book, which is centered on Britain, EU, post-Brexit, African relation, geopolitics, and globalization. I'm here to ensure that post-Brexit or post-COVID, the next agenda is how do British people survive exiting the EU, and how do many African British citizens, how many of Nigerian-owned businesses in Britain and Nigerian venture businesses and African venture businesses in Britain are going to survive the new relationship between Britain going global and exiting the EU in terms of trade, in terms of social mobility of Africans across the British Isles.
And please tell us the lineup of the people who are coming to this place. Who is launching it? Who are the other people coming?
Well, we have a lot of lineup people. We have the Prime Minister Trade Envoy to Nigeria, Honorable Helen Grant, MP, speaking. We have Paul Bristow, MP of Peterborough, speaking. We got Tom Hennessy, the CEO, Executive of Opportunity Peterborough Network. We got other couple of speakers. We got the Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Sule. We got the Governor of Jigawa State, His Excellency Badaru. We got the Governor of Abia State, His Excellency Dr. Ikpazu. We got the Minister for Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talent. We got the Minister of State for FCT, representing the FCT, Hajia Ramatu Aliu. We got the Minister for State for Steel and Mines and Steel, Honorable Uche Oga. And the chairman of the occasion is no other but the Ambassador Extraordinary, the Ambassador at Large, the former President of African Roundtable Business in person of Ambassador Dr. Bamanga Tuko. And the father of the day is no other person than the former High Commissioner of Nigeria to the UK, Ambassador Senator Dr. Danhatu Tafida. And the royal father of the day is no other than the flamboyant, young, elegant, entrepreneur, royal majesty of the Yoruba Kingdom, the Oni of Ife, going to be there.
Wait a minute. Who else remains in Nigeria that will not be there? After you mentioned all those names, I mean, the serious names in Nigeria have been mentioned. Who else remains there? So if you are not there, you are not. Look, Gossin, we have to leave you there. We don't have to come back to Britain. Thank you very much. Make sure you come early next week. So thank you very much, Gossin.
Thank you very much. I wish you the best on you and all the program.
Thank you very much. Nims Obunge, London Mayoral candidate, we're going to focus on you. Please tell us in very few minutes, what are you going to do for Transport for London? It's a major place that many people believe that Sadiq Khan did not perform until he come and tell us otherwise. What will you do to ease transport in London?
Well, first of all, let me wish Godson well on his on his launch. I know Helen Grant quite well, and and he's got a good lineup today. So I'm hoping that he has a great event, and that's a very significant conversation that he's looking to have. I think there's a role that the Commonwealth has to play, and I encourage people to get the Commonwealth app on their phone. So we look at a post-Brexit world and how we attract inward investment through a participation on the global economy. So I think the conversation there, I'd like to get that book. So please do tell him that I'll be keen to get the book. If Godson, you're still listening, I wonder when you come to London. But back to Transport for London. It's clear that in the past, well, Transport London is under a lot of pressure. TfL is under quite significant pressure post-COVID. And there has been series of conversations extending congestion charges, levying Londoners It's already difficult enough to go into London with the congestion charges that end at 7 and started end at 10 and start at 7. And there are we haven't, a lot of people have stayed at home and worked, so our transport network has not been maximized. We need to get London moving again. We need to get London.
Okay, we will take you on that. We need to get London moving again, but we want to watch your video so that we can end today's program with this video, and then we'll write you other questions. Where can we write you? Where else can we get?
Can I actually, if you just wrote info@nimsforlondon.com. Info@nimsforlondon.com.
Nimslondon.com. Okay,
yeah,
please, studio, give us this video. Let's see. Let's meet more of Nims so that we can ask him more questions.
Hello, London. My name is Nims Obunge. On the 6th of May, Londoners are going to be making a decision on who their next mayor is going to be. I'm still in the race, running as an independent candidate, because I really believe this is a time in our city where we need to address street crime. We need to address the issues that impact our lives, such as climate change, and ensuring that we have an economy that thrives. COVID has impacted so many lives. We have lost some loved ones. Some of us have been furloughed. Some of us have lost our jobs. And I know this. In my community, I'm serving over 3,000 people who are desperately in need of support. And so what I want to do is I want to be the people's mayor. I want to be your mayor. So on the 6th of May, when you have an opportunity to stand before the ballot box, take Nims for London. Take Nims Obunge. Let's make sure we have a city where we're moving forward together to ensure this city thrives. And that is our vision, our Hope 2021 campaign, to make London the city of our dreams. Let's move forward together. We can make this happen. I encourage you, vote for me, and let's make it a dream.
That's how far we can go today. We want to thank our guest, Nims Obunge. We wish you all the best. I want to thank my colleagues from Milan, Mark. I want to thank Nat Yako, our in-house researcher, Gustin Azu, all the way from Nigeria. And of course, the studio crew who made it possible, Al Saint, Anthony, and our executive producer, Dr. Alistair Shode. Until next Wednesday, when we'll be bringing you fresh ideas. My name is Segun Johnson, and I wish all the countries well. I've been told not to pray for Nigeria alone. So God bless Britain. God bless Nigeria. God bless you. Ciao.